Hello guys, how are you? Today the topic of my discussion is why do we overthink when we can simply think in the perspective of my family's and my parents' mindset. So I would like to start by asking you a question like have you ever had an encounter with your parents where they were trying to help you to solve a problem but only in their way? Even though the solution involves just a few steps, they somehow end up overthinking it and until everyone is stuck in the same spot, they were not done with it. In my house, we don't just have parents, we have overthinker achiever award winners. They can turn a little molehill sized problems into a Himalayan mountain range before you've even finished your breakfast. I'm talking about this today because I haven't just studied overthinking, I have lived it. Growing up in a household where what if was treated like a national emergency, I have realized that I do it at times too. For this reason, I want to explore why we overthink, how it drains us, and how choosing to simply think clearly can make our lives significantly lighter and better. The root of the chaos is fear and control. Why do we do this to ourselves? Usually, it's a mix of fear and a desperate need to control the uncontrollable. Let me take you back to the day I was born. Most families celebrate, but my family, they launched a frantic investigation. I was born with a small tumor in my mother's stomach, so the doctors put me under observation after my birth. I was apparently very much in pain, crying aloud, waking up every other infant in the world. So, a kind nurse who was present there and who never had any sort of bad intention took me out of the room for a moment to calm me down and to take care of me. So, my grandmother was also in the hospital building and she was there at that time. And when she walked into the ward, she didn't find me there and she saw an empty cradle. And when she saw that, she didn't think that maybe the doctor took the baby for a checkup and the nurse is helping. No, she thought the baby got stolen. Within minutes, my grandmother included my father and my aunt in a full blown panic zone, convincing that I had been stolen. When the nurse walked back in with me, a calm baby around that time, she was met with a lot of shouting and threats to be taken care by the police. And by this, we can say that the fear had completely bypassed their logic, my parents' logic, and my aunt's and my grandmother's logic. Overthinking distorts reality. Why? Overthinking doesn't just make us move fast, it slows us down and it slows the ability to see the truth. It drains our mental energy by creating false facts. Take my eldest brother, for example. He was a very brilliant student aiming for the cadet college admission, and he also passed the written exams with flying colors. But during the medical exams, he was disqualified because of his height. A few years later, the same thing happened to me at the Dhaka Residential Model College admission procedure. I was rejected for height and my eyesight. Now, the logical explanation is genetics because me and my brother are a bit of taller guys in my family. But my parents, no, they didn't think it that way. They overthought it into a conspiracy. They thought that they uh, thought that me and my brother, we must have misbehaved or have been too much introverted during the interviews, which resulted in not answering the questions that the committee was asking us, and that was the reason we got rejected. So they simply ignored the physical reality because their overthinking mind needed a reason that they could fix in that time. Now comes the pressure of the what if. Our past experiences, especially in a brown family setting, often teach us that if we aren't worrying, we aren't working at all. I remember back in my childhood days in around the year 2008 in Kumilla, me and my brother were playing in the field. We were playing cricket. At that time, we had tutors, and our tutors arrived a few minutes earlier before our playtime was ending. But that was not the case for my father to see. He still saw us outside playing when the teachers were arriving in our house. So now a simple thinker would say that the kids are playing outside, just call them in and they will just get themselves freshen up and sit for studying. No. But my father's overthinking mind saw a disaster. The tutors are being paid, the time is wasted, my sons will fail at life if they are playing at that time without having the study time properly met. He actually came to the field with a bamboo cane. We were chased home, sweating and crying, and forced to sit for tuition while still catching our breaths and removing our snorts. He wasn't being mean, he was just trapped in the overthinking trap, where playing for 5 minutes meant a ruined future. So, to end, we can say that we overthink because we care deeply and because we fear of making mistakes. But as we've seen, it usually just creates unnecessary stress for everyone involved. So, how do we shift back to simple thinking? We have to start asking ourselves, is this actually in my control? Focusing more on the present moment instead of the stolen baby or failed future scenarios in our brains, we can have a calm sense of approaching in any matter of life. Sometimes writing it down in forms of journal or a diary can help us see how silly the thought actually looks on paper. Simple, clear, calm thinking helps us simple way of solving problems instead of complicating them. So maybe it's time we give ourselves permission to think just enough, not too much. And this is how life becomes much lighter when we stop battling our own thoughts and simply let them guide us rather than overwhelming us. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening to my speech.